Thank you, President Riley. A few more items about the ball game. Mentioned I'll still be able to take orders. The other is when you get your tickets, there will be a description of how to get to the stadium. And the game's about 7, and there's always a lot of traffic because of Fort Lewis and because you'll be going through Tacoma, so leave enough time. And one person, and unfortunately I didn't write down her name, asked about getting a ride to the game. So if any of you do want a ride, I can't promise, but if you'll email me, I'll make an announcement and hopefully we can fix you up with somebody. So that shouldn't be a reason not to go. Next is our speaker today, Ben, will be pulling a name of one of the youngsters out of that baseball at the end of the table, and that child, I was going to say kid, that child will be able to go down on the field before the game and get autographs and pictures with players and that kind of thing. So that will take place. We'll pull one name and then we'll pull a second in case something happens and the first youngster can't go. So now, with that busy work out of the way, I'd like to introduce Ben Spradling, who is the Media Development Manager for the Tacoma Rainiers. Ben was born in Texas and schooled there at Texas Tech, if we have any Red Raider alums in the group. Joined the Rainiers a couple of years ago. Now, there's jargon, baseball jargon has entered our everyday vocabulary. For example, the term pinch hitter is common, known by everybody, and today Ben is pinch hitting for Annie Schultz, who was scheduled to be our speaker. Couldn't make it due to a scheduling conflict. Term grand slam is common. It's been co-opted by Denny's to serve breakfast to people. Closer is well understood. That's been co-opted or now is tied to the actress Kara Sedgwick, who stars in that television show. And you should know that Kara Sedgwick's son, also Kevin Bacon's son, since they're married, is currently a student at the Evergreen State College. Thank you. Walk-off home run is in everyday use, bench player, MVP, long ball. And I was so proud of myself because there are some pejorative terms in baseball, and one of them is baseball Annie. And our speaker was going to be Annie Schultz, so I was going to introduce her as a baseball Annie. But I don't think it really applies to Ben at all. So without further ado, one last thing. We have had as a tradition, this is the 3rd time we've had somebody from the staff of the Rainiers visit us. They've brought a team ball. That means a ball signed by the members of the team, and that is still being signed. Ben said the ink was drying. I thought maybe the players were still learning how to write. But, Carolyn, don't use that one next week.
Professor, what is baseball Amy?
You were okay. It's a kind of a round-heeled woman who follows the team and likes to date players. Yes. Are you sorry? Yes. So Ben has said that he will make sure we get this signed ball in fairly short order. So we'll auction it off today in its absence, and whoever's receives who places the highest bid will get the ball at a later date. So without further ado, I would like to introduce Ben Spradling.
Thank you all for allowing me to pinch it. If you were expecting a round-heel moment, I'm sorry to disappoint you. Like you said, my name is Vince Bradley, and I'm the Media Development Manager. What I primarily do is I deal with a lot of the baseball information for the team. So I'm the one who spends a lot of lonely nights scouring box scores and writing game notes, and just a lot of what's going on the field is pretty much my business. So I coordinate interviews and do a lot of that stuff. So I have been asked to speak basically about some of the on-field product as opposed to what's going on stadium-wise, and we do have a lot of great renovations going on in that regard. But I will give you just a brief summary of where the team's at right now, standings-wise. As of last night, we are now 5.5 games out of first place. We were as far as 11.5 games just about 16 days ago, so we are kind of on the uptick right now. And first place Reno is on the downslide. So as you guys know, minor league baseball can talent-wise be very much a cyclical thing, where depending upon how the big league club's doing, we can either be doing really, really well, or we can be doing not really, really well. So we're doing really well right now. So that's a good thing. So I was just going to briefly talk about some of the different prospects we have on the team and some of the experiences those guys have had with us, and I guess some of their strengths on field. I'll start with our regular third baseman, Alex Liddy. He is an Italian-born player. He was born in San Remo, Italy. So if he makes it to the major leagues, I believe he will be the 6th different players who was actually born in Italy to make it to the major leagues. So that has become a very, very big deal internationally. So as someone who has grown up, like you said, in Texas and is not used to reading things like the Rome edition of Vogue magazine and stuff, I have had the opportunity to speak with representatives from these organizations. So that's been kind of a very neat experience for us. So it's what I do is, like I said, I coordinate a lot of the interviews. So via phone, we'll have them talk to these deals, and I don't know if it's much of a stereotype, but a lot of the European players very much like to use their hands whenever they talk. And so a cell phone, we are able to put that on speakerphone and allow Alex Liddy to be as animated as he would like to be with a lot of these guys. So that's been a learning experience for me anyway. So getting to deal with some of these very passionate, I guess, Italian journalists has been a real treat for me some of the time. So, but he is, like I said, he's been a mainstay for us at third base, and he's been our offensive highlight reel all season long. So last season, or yesterday, he hit his 27th, his team-leading 27th home run off the scoreboard. So we have the dent there to prove it. But he did some damage for us yesterday. So he is top 5 in just about everything for us. So, and he is probably, if you guys know Greg Hallman, he's probably in Greg Hallman shape as far as his progression through the Mariners organization. So it's one of those, we could see him up there as early as this season. We could see him maybe starting out there next season. But he's definitely our offensive dynamo for us right now. We added a shortstop, a 21-year-old Dominican by the name of Carlos Truenfeld. There is a debate raging both in the clubhouse and the press box as to how to pronounce that last name. So we've asked the man himself, and he says it one way, but his Dominican friends are positive that it's pronounced another way. Yeah, we're still trying to work through that one. But he is, like I said, he's a 21-year-old, really young guy. I think he started in the Mariners organization when he was 16. So it's one of those that, while he is still very young to us, it's one of those, the baseball business is something that is very old news to him. So to see those guys and have them see how they've developed from a 16-year-old to where they are now, he's also a guy to keep an eye on. So he's kind of our mainstay at shortstop right now. Our outfield is littered with guys who've had Mariners experience for us this season. You know, Greg Hallman, Michael Saunders, Mike Wilson, and Carlos Peguero are all names that you guys, I'm sure, have seen if you guys are even just very passive Mariners fans. Greg Hallman, like I said, he's Liddy's situation. He's international. He's a guy who can speak 4 languages. He's Dutch. They say that he's from the Netherlands originally, but he's also one of those where we can get some extremely interesting interview requests for. But he and Michael Saunders both, we have that gigantic batter's eye out in center field. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but the thing stretches 1.5 miles tall. We've had 2 guys ever hit a ball over there, but he and Michael Saunders basically patrol that area. And seeing those 2 guys play defense is something that's just, as even guys who don't know the technicalities of baseball, it's just it's kind of a royal treat for us. So we even enjoyed that. Those guys have all been great. Mike Wilson was a really cool story at the beginning of the season. It was somebody who's been in the Mariners organization for 10 years, or I guess he's in his 11th season with us right now, but he's one of those that through whatever kind of circumstance just hadn't clicked for him previously. I know he holds the Mariners spring training record for home runs, so it's one of those where he's come out of the gates really strong, and whether it be a fracture to his ankle or somebody getting acquired by the team right before the season starts, it just never clicked for him. And then to have it happen for him this season, it was one of those where rarely do you see an entire organization just extremely happy for one guy, but it's one of those where everybody is looking for Mike Wilson to shake his hand and congratulate him on something like that. So that's been a really neat thing as well. So Our outfield, yeah, they're very baseball savvy individuals, not like any of the other guys aren't, but they are something to see for us. Our manager, Darren Brown, he started with the team in 2005 managing, so last season he got his first big league call-up. So usually he's on the other side of the desk delivering news to everybody, and he tries to do that in as many interesting ways as possible, either by telling them after they've been pulled after a game that they decided that minor league pitching is too much for them at this point, so we're going to let you rest and think about it, when in all actuality they're going to go face major league pitching in a couple days. But yeah, he got his first big league call-up last month, so that was something everybody was really happy for him about. So he got to, in place of Don Wakamatsu, he finished the last couple months with the Mariners. So he is back with us this season and bringing his major league experience down to Tacoma. So it's been great to have him back as well. Some of the other guys we have at catcher, we've that's probably been the biggest position of transition for us. We, as you guys, I don't know if you guys are following the Mariners much at all this season, but it's one of those guys at the plate you get run into quite a bit. You have guys barreling through there, and those catchers are the ones who bear the brunt for the bulk of that. So it's usually a thin position, and we've had guys, right now we have a Jose Yepes who was called up. He didn't actually get to play. He's 29 years old, and it's one of those where he's also been in the Mariners organization since he was about 16. And to see him cycle all the way through and then to potentially get that, it was cool to deliver that news, and he was able to go to the Mariners. Then we have a guy from single A ball as well. So that's been that's an ever-changing position for us. If you all have any questions for me, I would love to answer some of those. Yes, sir. It just depends. I mean, if you have like a Dustin Ackley, those guys have a signing bonus, and that stuff factors in there as well. And then whenever they get the big league, if they get a major league call up, that stuff it's a prorated minor league, prorated major league minimum. They just prorate that, and I think that's around $450,000, somewhere around there. And so they prorate that whenever they make it up to the bigs. What the average is in the minors, I'm not sure.
What are your do you have knowledge of any minor league player? 5,000 a month?
Somewhere around there. Like I said, each one of them is going to be different, and I don't necessarily know the average for that. So I don't deal, thankfully, with a whole lot of the financial side of that. Yes, sir.
I was at a game several months ago, and I noticed you have the Hall of Fame on the outside of the grandstand.
Yes, sir.
And Stan Nacarado, Tom Kelly. Is there any thought about putting Charlie Manuel up there?
You know, that's not something I had heard of yet, and it's somebody who, yes, does have a legitimate case to make it on there, and I'm not sure how those names had been there long before I had, and I'm not sure what the induction process is. So it's definitely one that we could definitely consider. And Charlie Manuel, especially now being with the Phillies, it's one of those that his name recognition is such that it warrants that kind of induction.
He is in the Hall of Fame also at Cooperstown. He wrote a poem.
That's exactly right. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Would you explain what it means when you said they've been with the Mariners organization since they were 16? Do they pick them up in high school or sponsor them in high school? How does it work?
Traditionally, when that stuff, it's usually international signings is how that works. So like they play in like when they're 16, like in the case of Carlos Truenfeld, they went out there and they're playing in like a Venezuelan summer league at age 16, and then after they reach a certain point, they'll come over here and they'll play in one of our either like a low A ball or something like that.
And that Venezuelan summer league is connected with the Mariners organization?
Yes. So in that case, they're called like either like the Venezuelan Summer League Mariners, or depending on what the organization is. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Where are the other Mariner farm teams located?
Let's see. We have High Desert is our high A ball that's in the California League. We have the Clinton Lumber Kings that's located in Clinton, Iowa, and that is that's also a Class A ball. We have the Everett Aqua Sox, which are they're in Everett, Washington as well. Our AA team is Jackson. They're the Jackson Generals. They were formerly the West Tennessee Diamond Jacks last season, but they're now our AA team. So we're in constant contact with those guys as well. Yes, sir.
Have you seen your attendance go up with the renovations?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So I think